Well, speaking of due diligence, we're going to do a little bit right now with a private company, actually, that's looking to go public on the CSC next quarter. We're talking to Christian, who is the CEO of One Cannabis. Christian, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and thanks for coming on such short notice here, coming on the show live with us. I just wanted to, for who you are, I heard you're a very, you've been growing for a while and have got a couple of awards under your belt. What have you done in the cannabis space up until now, and what's One Cannabis doing as a company?
Yeah, I've had a plant in the ground for over 10 years, as they say. I started growing legal marijuana in Colorado in 2009. And since 2009, the companies that I've run have won 6 Cannabis Cups, the highest award for product excellence in the industry. Last year, we're named one of the best dispensaries in the United States by High Times. 2015, I wrote a book on the industry called Big Weed. And last year, we started franchising the retail concept of marijuana. And so we've been successful in selling franchises around the United States. And now we're looking to go public on the CSE. So we have I've been doing this a long time. I've had a chance to meet with a lot of the Canadian LPs and great guys, and it's fun to sit down with them as we always just sort of tell war stories. But typically, I've been in it about 6 years longer than anyone in Canada, and just so we're bringing our wealth of experience to the markets, and think we have a very reasonable play as a public company in the future.
Yeah, it's great to hear. I mean, there's a lot of people or a lot of companies actually that don't have a lot of growing experience. So it's interesting, especially when you go into the United States. There's some states obviously that have been illegal for a good long time, so you've had a lot of time to practice with that. When it comes to the franchising, how does that model work? So if I'm a franchisee, I have a certain amount of money to open up a franchise, am I then growing myself and you're teaching me how to grow with your methods? Is that how it's going to just spread?
Yeah, the franchising in general. Let me explain that, and then also franchising in cannabis, because there's sort of an interesting nuance about how cannabis legalization is really lining up well for the franchise model. So franchising in general, we're the franchisor, and so just like McDonald's or Subway or Midas, car repair or H&R Block tax returns. I mean, all these are franchise concepts where a franchisor has learned the lessons of how to do it the right way. We've learned both what to do and what not to do, and so that we can pass that experience on to our franchisees and they can benefit from it and not make the same mistakes. And in cannabis, how it really lines up well is that it's such a highly fragmented market, and particularly in the US, it's difficult to get those retail licenses. And so what we have is a highly fragmented market that have individual owner-operators of dispensaries. And those individuals have sort of the same challenges that anyone have, that they have a lack of experience in cannabis, which is almost universally true of newly awarded dispensary licenses. But then also they don't have any operational experience. They don't know what to do or how to do it. And so we do two things. One, we find these people at that time, or they find us, where we can add the most benefit to their work experience. There's a lot of cannabis, especially the regulatory, tax compliance, bookkeeping, and all that. It really is, it comes down to how do you initially set up the company. And so we work with franchisees very early on to help them win licenses, find the right real estate, build out that real estate, hire their staff, use standard operating procedures. But then once they're up and running, we give them the additional benefit of being able to work collaboratively. And as we sort of know from every other part of society, the Walmarts of the world get a great deal on all the products they buy because they buy in such bulk. And the concept with the franchise is the same, is that in this highly fragmented market, as we go out and start to bring franchisees together, that we all benefit from that collective. We're going to benefit from being able to buy products a little cheaper, but also to do branding. Again, I would argue that there's no recognizable brand of cannabis anywhere in the world. There's a couple of small pockets where there's a recognized brand, but generally speaking, there's not. And so we look to The franchise is really to bring together this diverse group of owners, to support them in significant ways, and allow us all to benefit as we come together. And so we think that the franchise model is going to be very, very relevant in cannabis because it is such a highly fragmented market, and also it's just a proven model. You look at the Western world, and franchising is such a prevalent business model. And so we're really just working sort of analogously on what's worked in other industries and what'll work here. And really, once we saw the opportunity to do this, wasted no time, and I partnered with a guy that's got 20 years of franchise experience. He was running a company called Maui Wowie, which I think was a great name of a company to run before you got into the cannabis business. So he went from Maui Wowie to One Cannabis. But he's a 20-year franchise veteran. So for everything that my team and I know about running compliant, profitable cannabis businesses, he knows about running a successful franchise. And so we came together in hopes of being able to support and build up this group of owner operators, of entrepreneurs who want to work with us collectively to become one of the dominant brands of cannabis in the evolving industry.
Yeah, it's very interesting because that is going to be an interesting area to look into. Is that franchise model? We're going to see just a bunch of LPs try to do it on their own, or are they going to franchise off their intellectual property and their their know-how to expand at a rapid pace? When it comes to investors, so a new investor looking into this, you said you're going public on the CSE. What does your share structure look like? How many shares do you have outstanding at the moment? And do you have a private placement or an IPO that's happening soon?
Yeah, we're actually we're doing the final private placement before the IPO. We're currently working on several options around a public listing. Most directly, we're working on a long-form IPO for the CSE. We're also looking at a couple of reverse merger options and one just straight merger. So we have a couple of ways we're doing that, but we are doing a final private placement right now that's going to have, we're building in some arbitrage to make sure that those investors benefit from the IPO. And we hope to be public and trading in the first quarter. But to be very candid too, the going public process for us is important, but it really is what happens after that. We're really positioning this. I think when you look at this sort of first wave of public cannabis companies that's come through now, and they're getting pretty beat up after the 17th, and the market's down considerably. We're really positioned to be the sort of second phase. I came up in Colorado, and in Colorado we have an interesting expression that pioneers got arrows and settlers got land. And to that extent, we're really looking to be settlers in this industry. And we're looking to build significant long-term value for our shareholders. One of the unique things about franchising that I think is a huge benefit to our shareholders versus others is that if you're invested in a company that's acquiring new units, they're going out and they're paying cash or stock to buy these units. And you have to, at some point, look at how long does it take to return that capital to the company, to the investors. Franchising is not only needed in this industry right now because of how fragmented the ownership is, but it also is hugely capital efficient. And what I mean by that is, we're looking at opportunities in Los Angeles right now where we would go in and have to pay, $12 or $15, $20 million for a dispensary. And instead, we're having people that are willing to pay us $100,000 as a franchise fee and then give us 5% of revenue to help them not make the critical mistakes we've made. And so the requirements on capital are very, very different for franchise companies versus sort of what I'd call sort of the pure LP route. There's a lot of companies out there, the MedMen, Iantis, MPX, others that are they're going out and acquiring these assets. And again, they're priced up right now. There's a lot of expense to them. You get a lot of capital risk tied up in these assets that might fail. And additionally, then we have a diversification. With 100 franchisees, if we lose one of those units for any reason, then it's unfortunate, but it's not going to kill us. We didn't have a lot of capital wrapped up into it. We've got 99 others that are operating, and so I think that the interesting part of where we are is that it's low capital requirements, huge diversification, and sort of a higher return on investment. The average, operating income for a franchisor is typically over 80%, because we're taking 5% of revenue and we don't have a lot of significant expense to set that against. So although we're playing in that same space as effectively a branded multi-state operator in the U.S. and hopefully Canada soon, our economics are very different, and I hope that our return to investors is significantly different and better than our competitors that are just doing a straight cash roll-up.
Yeah, and for investors who are listening to this right now, and they like what they're hearing, they find it interesting. Is that private placement, is it almost closed, or do people have somewhere to reach out to find a little bit more information, possibly get on the private placement or the IPO that's coming up as well in the near future?
Yeah, no, they could absolutely reach out. Best, so you have my name up there. You could email me, Christian@ocginc.com. I'd be happy to put them in touch with our investor relations team. We have most of it subscribed. It's not quite a bought deal, but we've got most of it already taken care of. We're going to open it up on Monday or Tuesday of next week. We anticipate having it shut down, fully subscribed and shut down by the end of the year. Mm-hmm. But if anyone's interested, I would love to talk to more people. We're really looking to get that diversity in our investor base as well. So we're welcoming back our current investors, obviously, but we're also, looking to sort of spread that investment base so that we have a nice broad base of investors that's adding a lot to our aftermarket activity.
Yeah, absolutely. And from ourselves here, at my studio, Follow the Money Investor Group, we love finding things like this when it comes to opportunities. You still have to look into what your financials are going to look like, the different aspects of your company, which is why reaching out to you is the best way to find out that information. But it's interesting because a lot of the times I find investors only find out about a company once they're, a week before their IPO. But to have a chance to possibly get on the IPO or a private placement beforehand, I just want to make sure I got that out to anyone listening who was a little curious there, so they knew where to go, so they can inquire a little bit more into that. Yeah, fantastic. Would love to talk to them, and you're so right. I mean, how many times in life have these opportunities come and gone? You're like, if only I had heard about that 60 days ago. So maybe this is great timing for somebody. Would be happy to talk to them. We're very excited about what the future holds, and we've been working on this sort of go public for better part of a year now, since February in any case, and we're sort of watching where the markets are, and we were when we got involved, everything was heating up in Canada and getting really exciting, and then the 17th has come and gone, and now the markets are gotten beaten up, and I think we're frankly more excited about it because we see the public cannabis market sort of surviving this first downturn, and to me that gives me a lot of confidence that the market is maturing, and that the future is very bright. I think that investor attention is also turning a bit from Canada to the U.S. and in the U.S. we had I think we had a very positive midterm elections for the cannabis industry, and so we're already seeing the Farm Bill is going through in the U.S. and if the States Act goes through, we get basically legal cannabis. We get it turns the regulation of the cannabis industry over to the states. And I think we're going to see just an explosion in the cannabis business activity. So we're feeling good about where we're positioned right now and how our alignment with sort of those macro political and macroeconomic activities that we can't control, but we feel pretty aligned with them right now, and very much looking forward to next year. It's like you said as well, right? This is the second mover's advantage for the most part. where a lot of the heavy digging has been done. For those out in the States, there's still room to go, but making positive progress in that as well. So I just want to thank you very much for coming on such short notice, talk about your company, talk about where they can find out more about the private placement that you have going on. Lastly, do you have a website where they can tune in and possibly see some past work or get some more information from there as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Same website as my email. It's ocginc.com. ocginc.com. It's our website. And again, if you want to reach me, it's christian@ocginc.com. And a lot of information out there, both about the franchise opportunity, our history. I think there's a pretty substantial media page, of winning a lot of awards over the years. We've got a lot of press that people can go and get a real good sense of who we are as a company and the team. And and then after that, give us a call. We'd be happy to chat with anyone about it and invite people out to Colorado to tour all the facilities and get a real sense of who we are.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much again for coming on the show. Looking forward to seeing the progress that you're going to be making the next little while. And when Q1 comes around next year and you're getting ready to get that IPO, we'll be sure to get you on here to give an update to all the viewers and possibly new investors into your company.